So we started with the topic of equilibrium, and I've given the definition of equilibrium like this, that is net force and net moment on the body should be equal to 0. There shouldn't be any linear effect due to a force or turning effect due to a force. That's what the expectation for the condition of equilibrium. So from this you can simply say, as net force is 0, that means net acceleration of the body will be equal to 0, and net moment is 0, so net rotatory acceleration or angular acceleration will also be equal to 0. Anyways, so using forces and moments will be sufficient enough to deal with any numerical in this bit of SOM. So let's go ahead a little bit deeper into this concept of equilibrium. We have taken the concept of or the example of pulley and force. It was like this. It is a center. So force was acting eccentrically from center with the radial distance of r. So torque is equal to given by r into F. So torque is equal to given by r into F. So here we see that the force is acting, or force is having a component along x-axis and y-axis. So the force is having component along x and y-axis. So if you take this as x-axis, this as y-axis, so z-axis is towards you. So when the force is acting along x and y-axis, the rotation or the torque is occurring about z-axis. So one very important thing which you observe is when the force is along x and y axis, force components are acting along x and y directions, then rotation will be occurring about z axis. In the same way, if the force is acting along y and z, the rotation will be occurring about third direction, that is x. In the same way, if the force is acting along x and z, rotation will be occurring about the third direction, that is in this case nothing but y. So if the force is acting along x and y, rotation will occur about z-axis. Understand? So now if you are dealing with forces in coplanar directions, that means x and y directions. If you take a coplanar force system or 2D force system, so if you take a 2D force system, forces will be acting along x-axis and y-axis, that's all. So sigma fx is equal to 0, sigma fy is equal to 0. Sigma fx is 0, sigma fy should be 0, should be satisfied because the equilibrium condition should be satisfied here. But as the force components are there along the x and y axis, so rotation will be occurring about z axis, that also should be 0, so that the body will be in complete equilibrium. Understand? Whereas in 3D loading conditions, you will be having forces along 3 directions, so you should satisfy these 3 equations here, and there are force components along x and y, so you should make sigma my is equal, sigma mz is equal to 0. As force components are along x and z, sigma my should be 0. As force components are also acting along y and z, so sigma mx also should be equal to 0 here. Okay, so if you are going with the 3D force system, these 6 equations should be satisfied, and if you are going by 2D force system, you should satisfy just these 3 equations. Okay. In this bit of SOM, we will be dealing with only coplanar force system or 2D force system. So in every question, we will be dealing with applying these 3 equations. Using these 3 equations, we will be getting all the unknown reactions and reaction forces and moments, taking the condition of equilibrium. Understood? Clear? So static equilibrium means nothing. There's nothing special. So it should satisfy the condition of equilibrium, and also the body should be at rest. Because if you take a condition of equilibrium, net force is 0, so acceleration should be 0. We can have the condition where body can have constant velocity. Okay, so if you are saying constant, if you are saying the body should be in equilibrium, means it can have constant velocity or it can have 0 velocity. So static equilibrium means strictly with respect to 0 velocity condition. That's the only difference here. So in this bit of SOM, we'll be dealing with static equilibrium conditions only. So we can apply these 3 equations. If any situation is there, we can apply the condition of that velocity also should be equal to 0. Okay, but till now we didn't got any question like that. So mostly we'll be applying these 3 equations only to get the answer. Let's go ahead. Statically determinate numericals or problems. So these are the numericals in which you can get all the unknown reaction forces and moments just by applying the condition of equilibrium. Okay, if you are able to apply the equilibrium conditions and get the unknown reaction forces or moments, then we say this equation, then we say this numerical as statically determinate numerical. Okay, kindly copy the definition. Kindly apply the equations of equilibrium and get these three values. I know you people are familiar with applying these equations because they are simple equilibrium equations. You try from your side and let me know the answers of AX, AY and BY. Yeah, very good. So for those people who are struggling or facing difficulty in solving, you can understand here. So we should always take this as positive x-axis, this as positive y-axis. So z is towards u. So sigma fx is equal to 0 implies ax value is equal to 0. Sigma fi is equal to 0. There are three forces in y direction. Ay, by are in positive y direction and p is in negative y direction here. So this gives you ax plus by is equal to p, or ay plus by is equal to p, or ay plus by minus p is equal to 0. Now taking moment here, sigma mz is equal to 0. The meaning of this equation is we are taking net rotation about z axis 0. So when this whole body is not rotating about z axis, then you can take through any point. If the body is not at all rotating, it is not rotating about z axis, about this point, or through this point, or by outside this point. So you can take any point according to your conveniency. You'll get the same answer. Understand? I'm taking this point because I don't want ax and ay to come in the equation. Ax and ay will not come because the forces which are passing through the center will not cause any moment. So ax, ay are unknowns. So I'm choosing that point intentionally where most number of or maximum number of unknowns are passing. So now if you take this p, so p is acting and giving rise to clockwise rotation. So p into L by 3 clockwise, by into L anti-clockwise. So plus by into L anti-clockwise is equal to 0. So all these gives rise to by is equal to p by 3. So ay becomes 2p by 3 and ax is equal to 0. So you got all the unknown reaction forces and moments by using these three equations. So this is an example of a statically determinate numerical. Understand? Here, if you have more than 3, I told you already we are going with 2D4 system only. Understand? That's why we have only 3 equations. So if you have more than 3 unknowns, definitely we wouldn't be able to solve it because we have only 3 equations, right? So maximum number of unknowns in a 2D4 system should be 3, so that it should become a statically determinate numerical. So based upon the number of unknowns, you can decide directly. Okay? So you can based upon this above explanation, you can write down a note point. In a 2D4 system, okay? After this, I want you people to tell me, if you are going by 3D4 system, how many unknowns should be there at maximum, so that it should become a statically determinate numerical. May I know the answer? For a 2D4 system, I have given the answer as 3. For a 3D4 system, how much should be this number? Can you guys tell me? Yeah, 6 numbers, because we have 6 equations, so we can maximum get 6 unknown values. So number of unknowns should be not go beyond 6. Okay? So after copying, you can take this question. Very easy question. So they're given a bar of uniform cross section. It's having a weight of 100 Newton. So we can say that weight is acting at the center because it's uniform cross section. So it is experiencing tensions T1 here and T2 here. So if you apply equilibrium condition, sigma fx as 0. So you'll get nothing because there is no equation. Sigma fy is equal to 0. We can apply T1 plus T2 minus 100 is equal to 0. Sigma mz is equal to 0. So again, you can take about any point. I can take about this point also, this point also, this point also, this point also, outside the body also, because the whole body is not at all rotating. So you can take about any point. Understand? Clear? So if I am taking about this point, I can say T1 into L by 2 clockwise, it is clockwise, is equal to 0. This gives you T1 is equal to 0. T2 value will become 100 Newton. Understand? So here Sanjay is asking the question that if they are extensible, then how we solve, sir? Okay. So I am reading out the question in that way. A bar of uniform cross section weighing 100 Newton is held horizontally using two massless and extensible inextensible strings of S1 and S2 as shown in the figure. So what is the answer if they both are extensible strings? Exactly. Challa Sanjay, same answer. Same answer will be there if they are extensible also. Okay? Same answer will be there if they are extensible also. But here we are understanding to keep this bodies in equilibrium, we should have tensions like this. Listen properly. Here, when they say or when they modify this question or ask this question regarding extensible strings, first of all they will say or they should give a condition how this rod going to be. I am going with the condition that after application of the tensions also or extension of the wires also, this rod will be in equilibrium and in horizontal direction. Understand? Okay, so you should go according to that condition here. But practically speaking, it may be possible, might not be possible. Okay, so because that question is not there. So if you go in that way, what happens is you will be getting T1 0 T2 is equal to 100 here. Now, if T1 0 T2 100, we can understand from this one that T1 is equal to 0 means that left wire will not elongate. Only right wire will elongate here. So here we should drop down this assumption that the bar will be horizontal only. The answer for this question will be same, T10, T2, 100 here. I am going beyond that. So first of all, I thought that we should be going with the condition that it should be horizontal only. But later I am understanding that as T10, T2 is equal to 100, so we cannot go with that condition. So if they have given a question means they should not say the bar should be horizontal. So we got T10, T2, 100 here because this is the output. Immediately force is applied, T10, T2, 100 is coming up here. Now T10, T2, 100 means the left bar will not elongate. It will be as that value only, but right bar will elongate. So this elongation delta 2 will be according to the equation T2L by area into Young's modulus of the wire. So the bar will become like this. So for that question, after asking tensions, they can ask you what is the elongation of the second wire, okay, what is the angle of twist theta or angle of twisting of the theta of this bar here, like this they can ask. I hope I haven't confused you because earlier I went with one condition and then later I had to drop it out because it was not tallying with the results coming up here. As far as tensions are concerned, for this question nothing will change because tensions are immediately inputs. Okay, after production of tension, extensions will be produced. If you say inextensible, extensions are 0. If you say extensible, this way extensions will happen. Extension will happen. Okay, Sanjay? Thank you. Let's go ahead with statically indeterminate numericals. So there is nothing special to study here. So the equations are the numericals are problems in which we cannot get all the ordinary reaction force and moments just by applying equilibrium conditions are called as statically indeterminate numericals. So if a numerical has to become a statically indeterminate means in a 2D4 system, the number of unknowns should be more than 3. In a 3D4 system, the number of unknowns should be more than 6. That's all. Okay? I'm rubbing the board. I hope it's clear. So in this one, if you see, it's given that the bar is rigid, hinged at point A and supported in horizontal position by two vertical identical steel wires. So what they're saying is, before application of load, the bar is horizontal. Okay? By two identical steel wires. They used the material as steel. So they are indirectly telling that they are extensible strings. Okay, because we don't have rigid material, so every material will undergo some elongation. Neglect that weight of the beam, tension T1 and T2 induced in the wires by a vertical load P applied as shown R. So here we have to get T1 and T2 in terms of force P, length L, dimensions, other dimensions A and L, A and B. If you take the beam is like this. At the right side, you are having a support Ry. So here there is T2, here there is T1, and application of force is P. Application of applied load is P. This distance is small a. This distance is equal to given as small b, and this is given as L. If you apply equilibrium condition, so here it is statically indeterminate type of numerical. 2, 3. Fine. We'll understand why it is statically indeterminate type of numerical, though we have 3 unknowns here, because if you apply sigma fx is equal to 0, you'll get nothing. Understand? You'll get nothing. So this equation is irrelevant for us or inadequate for us. So if we take sigma Fi is equal to 0, we have Ry minus P plus T1 plus T2 is equal to 0. And sigma Mz is equal to 0 if you take it. I'm taking a moment about this point because Ry is unknown. So T1 into A clockwise and T2 into B also clockwise, P into L anti-clockwise is equal to 0. Understood? Okay. So this equation is not required for us. There's no use of that. Now we have only two equations and we have three unknowns, Ry, T1, T2. And out of these three unknowns, they're expecting us to get the value of T1 and T2. Okay? Understood everybody? Clear? So we have if I have effectively two equations and three unknowns, more unknowns are there, so it's a statically indeterminate type of numerical. So by using these two equations, we can't get the answer. So now we have to get another extra equation by using some condition so that we can solve those three equations and get the value of T1 and T2. Understand? If you read the question properly, they given one very important thing. Okay, that is both the wires are extensible. So from there we get this compatibility condition or the third condition. Right side there is point A where support is there. So the beam cannot go down at that point. So the beam can undergo deflection like this only. So here let's say deflection is equal to delta 2. This deflection is equal to delta 1. Now if you take the triangle is like this. So this is delta 1, this is delta 2. Let's take this as theta here. This is given as B, this is given as A. Now you can say that tan theta value as delta by B, delta 2 by B, also delta 1 by A, both are same. Tan theta is equal to delta 2 by B and also it is equal to delta 1 by A. Understood? You get delta 1 by delta 2 is equal to A by B. Now you should get delta 1, delta 2 in terms of T1, T2. Delta 1, delta 2 are nothing but tensile elongations due to application of T1, T2 respectively on those respective strings. Delta 1 can be written as T1 into length of the string by area into elongation of the string. Delta 2 is equal to T2 into L by area into Young's modulus of the string. Because they said both are identical steel wires, area, Young's modulus, length should be same. And both are made up of same material steel, so Young's modulus should be same. So from these two, we can say delta 1 by delta 2 is equal to T1 by T2, which is equal to small a by small b. So we got the third equation in terms of T1 and T2. So this is equation number 1, this is equation number 2, this is equation number 3. Solving these three equations will get the answer. But as this is a multiple choice question, you should not go or directly with conventional method. You should think a little bit smartly. If you see the options, T1, T2 values are given. According to this third equation, T1, T2 ratio should be A by B. So that option which is having ratio as A by B is correct. So you can save time like that. If you see option number A, T1, T2 ratio is equal to 1. Wrong option. Option B, T1 by T2 ratio is equal to A by B. So B is the correct answer. If we take option C and D, T1 by T2 is not equal to A by B. So C, D and A are not correct options. Option B is only correct. Sanjay, if you see the bar is rigid, so the bar will not undergo bending. The bar will always be straight. The bar, whatever way in which it gets tilted, it will be straight only. Now at the rightmost corner, there is support A, which will not allow it to go down. Understand? So because the setup is like this, the bar is kept like this, and here there is a hinge like this one, and two strings are there. So here whatever happens, the member will undergo tilting like that only, because we say bar is rigid and we said strings are extensible. So this is the only way in which it can be tilting. That's giving rise to different values of elongations delta 1 and delta 2. Okay, so we will be getting T1 and T2 in this way. So last step what I said was, as T1 T2 ratio is A by B, so you should get the answer from the options by checking where T1 T2 ratio is A by B. So option B is the right answer here. Okay, so whatever you learned in this question, kindly apply in the next question. Next question is easy only, far easier than this question. Far easier than this question there. Okay, but you should be a little bit careful. Okay, So Ankit is telling that, sir, I have substituted T1 and T2 in the equation number 2. Yeah. Ankit, very good. I appreciate your smart way of thinking. Okay. You have gone out of the box and got the answer here. But that method also a little bit time consuming. Like if you know this step, the delta 1, delta 2 will be like this. And you get T1, T2 is equal to A by B. So this is a little bit more faster approach. And why I suggest you to go by this step is because not in every question you will be able to get answer just by using equilibrium statically determined numericals only. We should know what is the third condition. And we call this third condition as compatibility condition. So compatibility condition means like based upon the situation in the loading condition, we derive an expression. So here we say it's given in the question that the beam is rigid and it's going to be bending like this only. So it's giving rise to delta 1, delta 2 in this way. So we are going in this way. Understood? Ankit, if you are able to get the answer in this way by using these two equations, that's fine there. But substituting every option, it's definitely time consuming. But if you do this step, one extra step, you can simply say T1 by T2 ratio should be A by B. You can simply get the answer. Fine? Okay? Kindly go ahead with the next question. Okay, it's given that a rigid bar is supported by a spring as shown in the given figure. The deflection of the point B will be. So we have to get the value of deflection in the point B, rightmost corner. So here if you see, there is a spring acting at the middle point. Okay, so and you know the formula for spring force. So if the expansion of the spring is delta, spring force formula will be K delta. Understood? So if you take that, it's like this. So here K delta will be there. Okay. And here applied force is 500 Newton. And K is equal to given by 50 Newton per millimeter. So this can be written as 50 into 10 cube Newton per meter. Understand? So K delta is the force here. So this will be giving rise to bending like this. Okay, so K delta will be acting like that, and 500 Newton force will be acting like downward like this. So if you would like to get the value of delta here, delta at point B, so we should know the value of delta here. So from tan theta we can say, as these lengths are L only, delta by L is nothing but delta B by 2 into L. So after getting the value of delta, delta B is nothing but twice of that. So let's get the value of delta. So here we can get the value of delta just by applying equilibrium equation, which is net moment is equal to 0. That itself is sufficient. We don't need to take AX and AY values or reaction forces at the point A. So taking MZ is equal to 0 about point A here, K delta into L anti-clockwise, 500 into 2L clockwise is equal to 0. This gives you KL is equal to 500 into 2. So 500 into 2 is equal to 1000. So K delta is coming out to be 1000. So you have K is equal to 15 to 10 cube. So delta will come out to be 1 by 50 meters. It is nothing but 1000 by 50 millimeters. So delta is equal to 20 millimeters. But we are concerned in getting delta B. So delta B comes out to be 40 millimeters. Clear?